What's going on, guys? So I am finally making a video on how to make a better grade on your ASVAB. So I get questions on a regular basis about how to make a better grade on the ASVAB and all this stuff, but the other day I just got like bombarded with questions on like just one video of make a video about the ASVAB, make a video about the ASVAB, please make a video about the ASVAB, and a lot of you guys thumbs it up, so here it is. So before we get started on this video and we're going to talk about the ASVAB, I want to talk about what the ASVAB score actually means. So whenever you get your score back or whenever you hear other people telling you what their score is, in my case I got a 91. For those of you who are curious, I made a 91 on my ASVAB. But what does that 91 mean? Does that mean that I got 99 or 91 questions right out of 100? I made a 91%? No, that's actually not what it means. And so for the minimum score to join into the Army, you have to have, I believe, a 31 now. I believe they lowered it down from like 36 or 34, something like that. But right now, I believe it's a 31. So when you get a 31 on the ASVAB, does that mean like you failed? Like, no, like it means you passed. So the way the percentiles and all this, the score works for the ASVAB is whatever age group you're in, whatever education level you're in, you're gonna be in a pool of people. So if you're still in high school, depending on what grade you're in, you're gonna be graded against other people who are in that same grade. So if you're in 11th grade and you take the ASVAB, you're not going to be compared to people who are in the 12th grade or people who have graduated high school or people who are in college, right? You are not going to be compared to them. So keep that in mind when you're taking the ASVAB. Now, if you have graduated high school, you're going to be in a pool of people who have graduated high school. So you're going to be compared against similar people to you, right? Now, what the score means is for my case, if I got a 91, then that means on my ASVAB with the people that I was scored against, so the pool of people I was scored against, I don't know exactly who it is, but I assume it's just people who were in college, basically the majority of people who take the ASVAB. I'm a 91 on the ASVAB, which means that I scored as well or better than 91% of people who take the ASVAB in my pool of people. So that's what that score means. So if you may make a 31, then that means in whatever pool of people you're in that you scored as well or better than 31% of people who took the ASVAB. Okay, so now that we've covered what the overall ASVAB score means, what do you need to actually get the MOS that you want? So if you didn't know, the minimum score for joining the Army is not gonna unlock all of the jobs for you to be in the Army, right? You're gonna have to score a certain ASVAB score or a certain line score in order for you to get the MOS that you want. So in my case, I joined the Army and enlisted going after a 25 Bravo or an IT specialist contract, right? So if you Google 25 Bravo Army, you're gonna go to the Go Army website and it'll show you that in order for me to get 25 Bravo, I need to get a 95, I believe, on my ST score. So what's the ST score? I got an ASVAB score, I got an ST score. Well, the ST scores are the different line scores that you're gonna have whenever you take the ASVAB, because in the ASVAB you're gonna have different sections, right? You're gonna have different sections like electronics, math. I actually decided to look it up right here, but you're gonna have general science, arithmetic, reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, mathematics knowledge, electronics information, auto information, so like cars and mechanics and stuff like that, shop information, which is like tools and everything like that, mechanical comprehension, and assembling objects. So assembling objects is kind of like you're presented a picture and it's like a puzzle. So if my fingers are like this, like how can you put my fingers together to have it fit perfectly? And there'll be different like puzzles and stuff like that that you have to do, right? So there's all these different sections on the ASVAB and you will get scored independently on those sections. Now, depending on the different line scores that the Army is gonna have for you, they do their own little algorithm or whatever and they come up with a specific line score for a specific area. So for me, I actually have my original like ASVAB test results here that I have, and I got a 130 on the ST section of my ASVAB, right? So that was the line score that I got, so that obviously qualified me for the 25 Bravo position. One little quick thing that I want to add here is if you get a GT score above 110, then you're going to qualify for all of the jobs in the Army. With an ASVAB score of a 91, that put me at a GT score of 124, so I qualified for all of the jobs in the Army. So probably somewhere in the 80s, then you should be good to qualify for anything. Now, getting to the meat and potatoes of this video, how in the heck can you actually get a good score on your ASVAB? Like, Matt, how did I get a 91? How did I make a good score on my ASVAB? And I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I didn't study at all, right? So whenever you go and you speak to a recruiter, if you've never taken an ASVAB before, they're gonna have you take like this practice ASVAB. And I think on that practice ASVAB that I took at the recruiter's office, I got like an 88 or something like that. So I got a pretty good score on that ASVAB, or the practice ASVAB. And my recruiter told me, he was like, dude, like, you don't have to worry about studying for the ASVAB. He was just like, literally, you don't have to study for the ASVAB, right? So I went like 2 days later or something like that, and I went and I took my ASVAB and I scored a 91, so that was good. So if you're looking for me to tell you guys like how I studied to make a good score on the ASVAB, that's not gonna be what this video is about, right? The ASVAB is really similar in a lot of ways to like the SAT or the ACT, some kind of test like that. So if you ask anybody, how do I study for the SAT? How do I study for the ACT? How do I study for these things? They're gonna tell you pretty much what I'm gonna tell you right now, which is take practice tests, right? So I'm gonna link in the description a couple of books that you can get if you are that kind of person who wants to, you know, have a book that you can look at, maybe actually write down some answers and stuff like that. So there's gonna be some books that you can take that will give you some tips and stuff specifically for the sections for the ASVAB, and then you can actually take practice tests. And if you ask me, taking the practice tests will be the best thing that you can possibly do to study for the ASVAB. I will also link in the description below a website that I went to, and I actually took this practice ASVAB, so it will give you a score. So I put that down below. It's not going to be like a, you know, percentile score compared to other people, but you're going to be able to see what you got right, what you got wrong, and then you'll be able to tell what areas you're weak in, because in this ASVAB there's all these different sections, right? So you'll figure out, hey, I'm good at the electronics section, I'm really bad at the mechanical sections, I'm really good at the math part, I'm really bad at the word part. So my personal advice to any of you guys who come to me and are asking or are watching this video, how can you study for the ASVAB? My first thing that I want you to do is, if you don't know what MOS you want to have, try to find a couple of different MOSs that you want to pick, and then look at the scores that you need for that specific MOS. Look at the scores you need for that specific MOS. See what subject area it is, right? So if you want to be a mechanic, some kind of mechanical job in the Army, you need to look at what mechanic score you need and then actually study those things. Now, if you took like some kind of mechanics class in high school or something like that, you're probably going to be good to go. It's not like super duper complicated questions, right? It's pretty basic things like, what does a spark plug do? What are these different exhaust things? I don't know. There's just little, not super complicated things that are going to be on the ASVAB, but if you obviously don't know anything about cars, then it'll be obviously a little bit more difficult for you. So after you figure out what MOS you want and what score you need for that specific MOS, then you can go and you can take a practice test, and on that section you're going to be able to see some of these questions that you're going to see related to that topic, so you'll know whether or not you need to actually study more for it. So if you want to take that online test, you take that test. If you do really bad at the area that you need to know, then you could actually look into getting one of the books on the certain topic. So that would really help out a lot. Now, if you're not in a super big rush to joining the Army, one awesome way that you could practice is just by going to actually take the ASVAB. When you take the ASVAB test, you can retest after a month. Now, you're not gonna be able to go back and retest the next day, but you will be able to take the ASVAB. If you do horrible, if you don't do as good as you want, then you can come back the next month and you can take it again. After that, you can take it again the next month, but after you take the ASVAB 2 times, you're gonna have to wait 6 months in order to take the ASVAB again. So your first one is kind of like a freebie. If you want, you can take the ASVAB the first time. If you do horrible, then you can kind of figure out, you're gonna get your scores back, you're gonna figure out what you actually suck at, what you're good at, what you need to study, and then you can come back the next month and you're just gonna do way better the second time. The last thing that I want to stress about this video is, if you are one of those people who are kind of struggling a little bit lower on the ASVAB scores, I want you to really try and actually do well on the ASVAB, because the ASVAB is one of those factors that are considered whenever you're considered for getting a bonus, right? So if you get a really low ASVAB score, you might not get a bonus, whereas if you got, 20 points higher, then you could get a bonus for that same job. So keep those things in mind. maybe studying for the ASVAB will actually get you a $10,000 bonus. So if that's the case, it's worth it. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something, whether it's about the ASVAB in general or maybe just, you know, a site or a book down below of how you can actually study for it, and then how you can actually figure out what scores you actually need. Again, go search your MOS that you want to do. You'll be able to find the minimum scores needed, minimum line scores needed for that job. If you have any further questions, comments, or concerns, the comment section is down below. If you have any really pressing questions or anything, you can hit me up on my social media platforms right here. You can follow me as well. That would be so awesome. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to stick around for some more videos, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys later.